Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, everybody, and welcome in my second part of my Mikvah series. And this series will be the tribe of Dan. And I like to start the story on a little bit of a historical timeline. So we're gonna start at Ramses II and Tutmosis Akhenaton in Egypt. So when I bring you to Egypt, I want to bring to your attention the Sea Peoples. Who were the Sea Peoples? How did they look like? How were they portrayed? And why are they connected? Well, first of all, I want to say that I think that the Sea Peoples are the originators of the tribe of Dan. Around the same time, the Sea Peoples were discovered in 1274 BC by King Ramses II. Not really discovered, but here is where we have historical documentation about the Sea Peoples because they had a war with the Egyptians. They were trying to invade and trying to maraud. A little bit essentially the same like Vikings. They came as Vikings on ships and they were trying to come and do their Viking thing. But yeah, essentially that didn't work out for them so well, so they were enslaved in Egypt. And around the same time, you have this pharaoh called Akhenaton, and he had a couple sons as well, Tutmosis, etc., who started, yeah, a whole sect or cult, started the whole direction of the religion of the Egyptian country to monotheism. And there's a lot of biblical discussion about this. Also, how this plays into Moses. Of course, you hear the name Tutmosis and Moses is very similar, and essentially they also say that this idea of monotheism it started there, and that yeah, this also gave the people in Egypt slavery, etc. A lot of the ideas that they later developed. Of course, I'm religious myself, so I definitely believe in God, but I also believe that a lot of this has historical basis, and all of these things are true. That is said, and today I want to be talking about the Canaanites. So, in this story, we go to Moses, of course. Moses goes out of Egypt with 12 tribes, but there's one additional tribe, and that is the tribe of the Canaanites. This is also written in scripture, and in this video I will put above all the references. Also in the description I'm gonna put it because I just want to talk about it, but I will also show you at the same time. But yeah, then we come to the story of Samson and the Canaanites. I will make a different video about Samson in itself, but to keep the story short, Samson went into the land of the Philistines under the command of God at first, but he was very sinful and he slept with a Philistine woman called Delilah, who found out which was his strength because Samson was the strongest man on earth. His strength was in his long hair and they cut it off, but he also did a lot of bad things. He killed people, etc. And essentially the Philistines imprisoned him, and in the last moment of his life he really repents, and God gives him for the last time strength, and then he breaks the pillars where he is captured, imprisoned, but he crumbles under the pillars of that temple. Now, this story is also very symbolic in itself, and I want to go very much deeper into that, but that's for another video. Now we're gonna explore the origins of the tribe of Dan. But this is where they originate, and here we got biblical references and Torah references, and the story of the Book of Judges. I will put it in the video, but this is very important to have a look at because essentially it describes that the Canaanites are not from the tribes of Israel, but after conquering some cities and doing some genociding, there is a reference in the book of Judges that the tribes of the Canaanites should be considered as one of the tribes of Israel, and henceforth and from that moment on, They are considered as the 13th tribe of Israel. And essentially, where they ended up is in Archaea, in the Phoenician lands, just north of the Philistines in modern day Lebanon. And here they came in contact also with the cult of Baal. And here is where the Dananites essentially further developed. But yeah, they already had a connection with that land from before, and this is actually very interesting. And I'm gonna make another video about that, the archaic civilizations, when we're going back to 50,000 to 10,000 BC. But right now we're talking from 1500 BC to about the times of Jesus. Because what happened is that these Dananites later got expulsed from the land. The Babylonians came and there was a Judean exile into Babylonia, etc. But these Dananites, essentially, their exile was not to Babylonia, their exile, they went with the ships back over the sea. Yeah, their exile was to Europe. And here we get that the Dananites invade Europe. And what is very interesting is as well that in the books of scriptures, the Dananites always call cities and places and everywhere they go and everything they conquered after their father Dan, their tribe father Dan, something with Dan. And here we see a lot of similarities. So from the Phoenicia, and if we look at Phoenician culture, and what I'm gonna link them to are the Normans, the Danes, the Celts, all these Germanic tribes, Tuatha the Danann, and all the Germanic tribes, because the Germans are essentially they speak Yiddish, which is yeah, the Jews. Some Jews they speak Yiddish because this is their ancestry. Because these modern Jewry, they are not real tribes of Israel. Most of them are from the tribe of Dan, and these corrupt priests from the tribe of Dan, which their whole history essentially is based on yeah, conquest, murder, yeah, warfare. They're a very warlike tribe. And so here in this video you can hear the similarity between German and Yiddish. Enjoy.
Hallo, ich heiße Andy. Wie geht's? Sholem Aleichem. Ich heiße Andy. Wie geht es? Hello, my name is Andy. How are you? Let's talk about the German and Yiddish languages. German is a West Germanic language. It is the most widely spoken and official or co-official language in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, and the Italian province of South Tyrol. It is also a co-official language of Luxembourg and Belgium, as well as a national language in Namibia. German is most similar to other languages within the West Germanic language branch, including Afrikaans, Dutch, English, the Frisian languages, Low German, Luxembourgish, Scots, and Yiddish. Yiddish is a West Germanic language historically spoken by Ashkenazi Jews. It originated during the 9th century in Central Europe, providing the nascent Ashkenazi community with a High German-based vernacular fused with many elements taken from Hebrew, notably Mishnaic, and to some extent Aramaic. Most varieties of Yiddish, including elements of Slavic languages, and the vocabulary contains traces of Romance languages. In the next part, let's hear the beautiful sounds of their language.
Eins,
Eins,
zwei,
zwei,
drei,
drei,
vier,
vier,
fünf,
fünf,
sechs,
sechs,
sieben,
sieben,
acht,
acht,
neun,
neun,
10,
10.
100,
So we have talked about the Khazars, which are essentially also a non-Semitic Jewish group, and now we're talking about the tribe of Dan, which also is a non-Semitic Jewish group. I'm really sick and tired of this anti-Semitism bullshit, because it's just bullshit. I am Semitic, and people are anti-Semitic to me. These Dananites and these Khazars are the most anti-Semitic people on the planet, so we need to stop that whole discussion about anti-Semitism. That's first of all, yeah. But okay, the Dananites, they came to Europe and invaded Europe. We have actual evidence. You know, they rewrote our history maybe 20,000 times. Yeah, they invented history. I'm gonna tell you that the whole story we got from the West history books is also nonsense. Okay, the Romans, the Greeks, all these archaic phallic societies, they all come from the Phoenician, Egyptian slash Babylonian, yeah, priesthood. After the floods and great cataclysms, the first civilizations erupted between the Euphrates and the Nile. This is just the place where the first civilizations again sprung out of the ground. One of the places, because I also would like to argue that in South America there was also left a remainder colony, let's say, after the flood, and in Southeast Asia as well. But that's for an whole other video as well, where I'm gonna talk about the old world. Back to the Dananites now, so we can see in all these places where they came, Edinburgh, Sweden, you know, every with the the Danube, the Donau, all these places, and there is a lot more of these name references, and I will put them in the video for you to see them, but so much similarities. And if you know a little bit about the history of the Phoenicians, the maritime trade, the maritime law, how everything like that worked back then, and how that's working right now, that actually this whole sea law, that whole stuff comes from Phoenicia, comes from the Dananites, and the Dananites are not original to Europe. They're also called Indo-European. They came and invaded Europe, and they brought Christianity, early Christianity, with them, which was their religion that they brought with them from the Middle East, where they came from. All these artifacts that we find, even the Middle Eastern architecture in the Norman culture, there is so much hidden and rewritten history, but I argue that those are the Dananites from which we just talked about. But as I've explained, they're not true Israelites. From Musa salam on, yeah, they became part of the tribes of Israel as a dependent. They became the 13th tribe, but they're not from the original line of David or Judah. Okay, if you understand that, then we go on now. And modern royalty claimed descendants from the tribe of David and the line of Judah. And also, like for example, a Rothschild who has these kind of claims to be from the land of Palestine or whatever, or even have descendants DNA that dates back to Egypt. It all goes back to the story of the Dananites and Samson, because that's where they say they came from. But is that actually true, or are they just imposters? But yeah, of course, you have the stories of the Germans, the Germanic tribes, and how they fought with each other, and the story of Dan and his brother. How Dan had a brother, and he had a fight with his brother over who should be the king. Dan actually had another twin, and they were fighting over about who would be king. Dan didn't get chosen, so Dan was mad, and Dan took a lot of his people aside, and he said, I want to be king. Let's travel to another place. And here they traveled to Europe, and we actually can go back and look at this. It really happened, where we have the invasions. Here's where history gets really sketchy and where things get really messed up, where they talk about the Dark Ages. You have multiple timelines of seafaring invasions into Europe and the establishment essentially of a European Christian empire. This might sound crazy, but that is what happened. After all these invasions, Europe did not become pagan because they want to show the Vikings as the pagans, but it's actually the different way around because Europe got Christianized. And I also argue that it's the priesthood of the Dananites that went to Khazaria and converted Khazaria, because I bet they went also through the land, the immigration of them, and they went through Khazaria and modern day Ukraine, etc., and ended up in Finland. There is actually also a very good video about that. Maybe I can put it in here. But well, yeah, it's a very mysterious history, very mysterious past. That's why I like to elaborate on this. But especially the most important thing is to explain that this tribe has nothing to do with the tribes or the original tribes of Israel and Judah. But they are the majority who go to Palestine to be colonizers and claim to be Jewish. Yeah, the reference to the Bible is okay. Yeah? Revelations 3:9, Revelations 2:9, the synagogue of Satan. We need to expose the synagogue of Satan because that's essentially what they are. They developed through their enslavement in Egypt, in Babylon, and in their times in Phoenicia. They developed a very dark death cult, end of the world, apocalyptic, satanic death cult. And through their Babylonian Talmud and the Kabbalah, they do practice dark magic and other things like hypnosis, manipulation, and all these kinds of stuff. They've managed to worm their way into the tops of many, many societies on the planet right now, because that's basically the whole religion of the Babylonian Talmud. It is to conquer the world and rule over everybody, because this story of them being kicked out everywhere, it doesn't start with the Middle Ages. As I said, the Dananites, they came as water gypsies essentially after these cataclysms. They basically where they came from or is a mystery, but it wasn't good enough anymore. They were desperate, so they had to go somewhere else. Maybe they were all remnants from the great flood and they didn't find any place. They didn't have a homeland, or they were already kicked out somewhere else, and everywhere they went they probably got kicked out. And this also happened in Palestine, the exile at Deuteronomy 28. People should read that stuff, because the Jews, even the original Jews, Arabic Jews, Semitic Jews, it doesn't matter, the Jews are totally cursed by God. They are a cursed people by God to live in exile. They have no right to colonize any place until their Messiah comes. Yeah, and there's gonna be pictures and videos, etc. But I've shown you essentially that the Viking ships and Phoenician ships are essentially the same. We're talking about the same people. I'm gonna make another story about how actually the Romans, the Greeks, and the all this archaic society works. But yeah, the Dananites, they are the true rulers of Europe right now. All the royal lines from Germany, they claim descendants from David, but they are from the Dananites. After that, we have all this Eastern European Khazarian converted business coming into Europe from the East, etc., with the communists. And yeah, that's where I'm gonna come to in the next video. A very revealing revelation of information that I have for you, that I gathered, and I have enough evidence to prove my claims, to show you who these people who are in Palestine today really are. And they have nothing to do with the people of Israel, and they don't care about the Jews, and they're not the real Jews, and the real Jews know that they should be in exile today. So throughout the video there will be snippets and edits of other videos and information that I've collected that I wanted to bring to your attention. Enjoy. So what does all of this have to do with the development of Jewish terrorism? Well, we've established who the Dananites are and where they come from, but indeed they converted quasi to Judaism. But we just have to open the Bible and the Torah and we can read all about their terrorism. Because the whole story of the tribe of the Dananites is a story of pillaging, murdering, conquering, and of course, that's not the only things, and I really do want to go touch some religious subjects. I want to make more deeper religious related videos about the information about the scriptures, etc. Right now, I just started my channel. I want to show you the ideas I got, what I'm thinking about, what I'm trying to explain the world. But this is essentially to stop as well the occupation in Palestine, but also to make other things known that were unknown. Bring that out of the darkness and bring light into this darkness, and to show the people. Look, it's very simple. We all have to come together. History is a major part of our life and it will be a major part of our future. Because what I've seen in my studies of history is that we see our future in our history. And this is where we also need to look for the development of the future. Also, this technology based and the real development lays in our past. Our ancestors knew better than us, and every time there are these kind of resets and they mess everything up. And these Danites are a major cog in, let's say, the machine that's running the global system. And I'm definitely not a racist. I consider myself actually to be half of this tribe and half of the tribe of Ishmael. My mother is a Dutch-born, red-haired ginger woman. My father is an Egyptian Arabic man. So that makes me look at it from two different perspectives. But also, I'm very, I stand up for truth. I have principles and morale. Something that's bad is bad. Something that's red is red. Something that's green is green. A woman is a woman. A man is a man, and that's how things are. So I was always interested in history. When I was a kid, I wanted to be like an archaeologist, whatever, Indiana Jones, you know. But I keep studying history. I keep studying scriptures. I'm looking always for the evidence, for the truth of the stories, and I go very deep into them. And there is a lot of knowledge I gathered that I want to share with the world. And of course, I'm not omniscient, and a lot of other people know about this too. And actually, I want to connect to other people who also have the same interests like me and who want to make changes in this world, real changes, because we cannot stand by anymore and keep on the sidelines and just watch, as we need to participate in this actively. We need to stand up, speak out, bring to the light that needs to be brought to the light, and nothing is safe anymore. You know, no rest for the wicked. So we're gonna come to the end of the video. Conclusion: most of modern Jewry are not Semites. They're not Semitic. They have no claims to the land Palestine, not theologically, not in any way, shape, or form. They are the Dananites. They don't really have an original homeland. Yeah, there is an autonomous Jewish oblast in Russia. We're all invited to go there. Russia is probably very happy when they come because Putin has invited all the Jews to come there. And I wish them all the best, really. And all the Arabian Jews, or you know, the people who are born, they can stay in their respective countries. And every criminal should be dealt with as such. And of course, the occupation in Palestine is the most criminal terrorist organization in the world and should be dealt with as such. And every single person that goes over there to the Middle East to colonize deserves at the least a life sentence in Guantanamo Bay. So I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna tell you oy vey, and I wish you all the best. God, peace, and blessings be with you, and I see you in the next video. And this video today, my Mikvah series, is more of a background story to the eventual conclusion I want to bring my audience to. And I know I don't have a lot of audience right now, and these videos might not be the best, but well, you have to start somewhere. Let's see where we go from here. Yeah, well, so I want to launch this project, the Free Humanity Project, you know, the Free People's Project. And in this project, we need to start multiple groups who are busy with multiple different ideas, and we start working on that, you know. Somebody could do this, somebody can do that, and I need help from all over the place. Everybody could put a little bit of effort in, and then we can really put some changes into this world. I will make a video dedicated also on the Dutch 80 Years War from my own perspective after a lot of research, and I must say there is a lot in there that is very, very interesting. And you know, of course, the coin always has two sides, so not everything is totally satanic and bad, of course. We can't stoop ourselves to the same low level and go and demonize every single one. I definitely do not hate all the Jews in the world or think that they should be gassed, but I do think Zionism is a great problem and we need to do something about it. Unite against genocide, stop the occupation in Palestine. Masalama. So I'm either gonna link a video in the description or put the video directly into my edit right here. But it's a very important link to be made is the maritime law. The maritime law of the Phoenicians, of the Dananites, and the modern maritime law we're living under.